Alrighty, our meeting will be called to order. And so we will have live simultaneous Spanish interpretation of the board meeting, and it is going to be available for those who are viewing online. Se dispondrá de interpretación simultánea del inglés al español durante la reunión del Consejo de Educación para quienes la estén viendo por internet. And now we will have our Pledge of Allegiance. If we will all stand. Place our right hand over our heart and begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Perfect. Thank you. And roll call.
Okay, Mrs. Alvarez Flores.
Here.
You, Dr. Armistead.
Present.
Mrs. Cardy.
Here.
Ms. Ehrman.
Here.
Mrs. Frost.
Here.
Thank you. Mrs. Reed is going to be absent today. Mr. Walker.
Here.
Thank you.
Perfect. And so for changes to the agenda, we will add a discussion item regarding the grand jury response. So we'll do that when it's time for discussion. And now we're moving on to board comments. Does anyone have any comments that they would like to share? What about our North County cohort? Anything?
Nothing more today.
Okay, perfect. I did just want to have a quick share that last Friday, I went to the ribbon cutting for the Eldwood Elementary solar panel. So they put a solar panel on their outdoor playground space. A lot of the board members from the Goleta School District were there, Superintendent Mary Kahn, and they had installed solar panels for 3 schools, so Mountain View, Hollister, and Elwood. And it was a great celebration, and just wanted to share that they're doing great things at Goleta Union, and it was great to attend. So now public comments.
None here. Steve, any there?
None here.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to our information item on the summary of SBCEO support for continuous improvement in districts. So our Associate Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Alan Berger, will present a summary to the board on how the Santa Barbara County Education Office supports districts in implementing Article 4.5 of the Education Code.
Thank you, President Ehrman, and thank you, members of the board. Last week, you all saw just such an incredibly cogent summary of our LCAP and our budget from my colleagues Bridget, Steve, Elise, Amy, and Renee. And that cogency and coherence really belies the amount of work that goes into creating all of that and all of the effort that goes into it. And part of what I'm going to share today is how we support our districts in doing that same thing, not only for LCAP, but also through differentiated assistance. And so here is a presentation overview of what I am going to touch on today. And in doing so, I will provide an orientation to the annual summary document that you received in your packets last week. So the LCAP and accountability system origins lie in the local control funding formula of 2013, which was really an effort to establish a mutual accountability system, moving away from the old system of sanctions and standards and prescriptive fixes in order to build one that is really about support. And it's based on the California way. The California way really is about an assets-based system that believes that the people in schools want to do well by children, but can only do so when provided the proper supports. So that's why we say it's a mutual accountability system. And it has 4 parts that started in 2014 with the LCAP. And then a couple years later, the dashboard was added. And then differentiated assistance, which I'll talk about today, was began in 2017-18, and we've been building the statewide system of support. So today's presentation is related to the very last piece of that, which came about in 2019, where county offices of education provide a summary of the support in 3 areas and the collaboration statewide. And that it will be sent along with our LCAP to the CDE. This is the cover of the report that you received, and you'll see that it has multiple goals, as I said. For each goal, you will see a review of 25-26, and then the projection for 26-27, which includes the metrics and indicators on each of those Ed Code required goals, as well as the actions we plan to engage in order to reach those goals. And so those 3 goals are support, review, and approve all LCAPs. Second is providing differentiated technical assistance. And third, provide all of our LEAs support for continuous improvement through the plan implementation. And finally, we discuss how we coordinate with other state agencies in the system of support in order to do so. And so goal 1, support and review all the LCAPs as well as approve them. We often say that county offices have a dual role in this. While we have to review and approve every one of those LCAPs, it starts much before that with the development. So we say we play a coaching role and a technical role. In the coaching role, we do a great deal of professional learning and consultation, which you'll see. And with the fundamental idea that the LCAP is something our districts have to do, but we really are intent on helping it become something that they want to do and need to do for kids. And you saw that in our own LCAP. And then the technical part is really clear about how we approve those LCAPs. And it's not whether we like it or agree with it, but that it meets all of those criteria that are in Ed Code. It's also a little difficult when reading this because we're working through multiple years, given that we're looking back and looking forward. So we know what a calendar year looks like. And then we know that a school year starts in July and goes through June. That's where we are right now. But the LCAP year is even more convoluted because we start in the preparation in about October each year. And then it goes to the board in June, and then our review, approval, and posting have to happen by the end of September. And so when you read the report, you're going to see things from 25, 26, and 27. So in the looking back, last year, right after all of the boards approved the LCAPs or adopted their LCAPs, they sent them to us, and we start with the approval of 1 year, and then the October through June is all of the support that we did. So we say that's approval and support because of the way the years fall. So in this report, first you'll see the looking back, and then you'll see the plans in that same cadence going forward for 26, 27. And I just wanted to take a moment to give a huge shout out to the incredible number of people and amount of work that it takes to do all of that preparation. And it is a joint venture between admin services and CNI with the district financial advisors and our directors and administrator and my colleague in the north. Hey, Steve. Goal 2 is about providing differentiated technical assistance. And when we think about differentiated assistance, it's really a continuous improvement effort. So this is from the definition. Differentiated assistance is designed to assist local education agencies to address underlying causes that led to low student outcomes, while strengthening that local education agency's overall ability to evaluate the effectiveness of strategies and programs so they can adjust as appropriate. We often say it's about getting better at getting better. It is not a status or a label to enter or exit like program improvement, but a type of support rooted in continuous improvement. For those people who are not in the education world out there, one way to think of that is we do the work that's very much like management consultants, McKinsey or Bain, or your implementation folks like Deloitte or Accenture, where we go in and it's not because people need fixing or we fix one little thing, but really work alongside to help that continuous improvement work. And so historically, there's always been 3 levels of support for providing. There's the universal level available to all districts and charters. And then level 2, we call targeted, which is available to qualifying LEAs. It's more intense. And of course, a 3rd level of intensity with which we work with the CCEE when a district is identified for that. And so the dashboard determines that qualification for both of those. In our universal supports, you'll read all about all of them, but they primarily fall into 3 categories. We do a significant amount of data preparation and customized data work for all of our districts and charters, provide those in ongoing folders for them. The second category is about where there are common needs and area of focus. This comes from reading their LCAPs and looking at the data. So some of the examples of those universal supports come through our curriculum council, our inclusion network, implementation science training, all of the work we've done this year on AI, universal supports provided to everyone. Another area or category of universal supports is related to initiatives that happen to be in a certain cadence, or they are new initiatives that may or may not be supported at the large state level. So things like the math instructional materials, or there were the required reading screeners, expanded learning, new graduation requirements like personal finance or ethnic studies. In addition to the universal supports, we have targeted supports, and those are for the individual LEA needs. I'm not going to go into all that we do, but it is a 2-year process of support, of working alongside. And the key word there is differentiated. It looks really different for each of our districts. Here's a little history of when you're reading about the districts we've been serving. Because it is a 2-year support, it goes back to the 24-25 school year, and then looking ahead to the 26-27 school year. And you can see the number of LEAs, districts and charters, that were eligible each year or continued to qualify for that support. I'm going to talk about the changes coming in 26-27 that are uncertain. And if you read it, you'll see that we planned contingently because those will be determined in July by the state board. So in the history of differentiated assistance, which started in 2017-18 and did have a little pause when we didn't have a dashboard right around the first couple years of COVID, there have been 752 districts and COEs that have qualified. That's close to 75%. And of those 752, about 80% of them have qualified 2 or more times. There were some changes in 23-24 that actually had been legislated before, but went into effect. And that's when we added charters to the mix. And charters are a little different. We need 2 years of dashboard results to qualify, but then they only qualify for 1 year of assistance, which is the inverse of districts. Districts currently qualify every year, but qualify for 2 years of support. So they can be going into their second year of support and qualify again. Well, all of this has led to concerns because the idea of level 2 and level 3 shouldn't be 70% of the districts. And so for the past year, the State Board of Education has been working on trying to rework the differentiated assistance criteria while at the same time making sure that we could still provide that level of support for all of the districts who need it. And so the level of support is going to stay the same, but try as they might, there's still a stigma attached to differentiated assistance. So they want to make sure that differentiated assistance is kind of focused on those districts that maybe are currently in level 3 getting level 2. Now, we don't know exactly what that criteria will be in July. So we did plan for our levels of universal support as well as the ongoing work. And so our differentiated team doesn't look as big, but there's a lot of people coming in and out. So the collaborators are based on the areas of focus that the district uses or chooses. And so we include different directors throughout the year. But this is ongoing support that happens throughout. And so finally, goal 3 is about support for continuous improvement and plan implementation. And that truly happens across all of our workshops, all of our contract work, and all of our universal supports that we just talked about. So what you'll read in the report is how our focus is on the integration and coherence across all of our programs and services so that we can serve our districts really efficiently and effectively. And we do that by also bringing in the statewide system of support to develop expertise, curate resources, and connecting to needs. They don't only profit from our work, but also from a statewide network. And that's the last part of the report that you see, how we work with the California Department of Education, the CCEE, and our geographic lead area, and all of the specialty experts throughout the state with the lead agencies. And so the whole system is designed to place the county offices at the center who can be nimble and flexible in providing that support. So those are our 3 goals. And as I said, we will submit the written report with the LCAP. And at this point, I'll see if there are any questions.
Hi, Ellen. This is Judy Frost. That was excellently put together, as your reports always are. And it's just a lot of information for those of us that just skim the surface of it to digest. In looking at the numbers, which for me, that's kind of where it starts. Since 2017-18, 752 districts and COEs have qualified for support. And you said that that was about 75%.
So there's about, the number of districts in our state changes from year to year.
Yes.
There's close to about 1,000 and about 58 county offices of education. So 750 out of 1,000 or 1,100 is in the 70 to 75% range.
Got it. That number to me is overwhelming. And while I understand how it, well, no, I don't understand. Well, I'm beginning to absorb how it flows over a period of time. Some of those LEAs could be in this category again and again and
That's
again
right.
and again.
Mhm.
Which leads to the frustration on so many people that look at our education, our results, reading scores, math scores, and all that, that we're just not making any progress, which the LEA can prepare a beautiful LCAP, but if we don't set our sights on improvement, and if we don't reach the improvement, then it's just doing a report of the same old stuff. So how do you integrate with those? I think in our case, have been, you identified, or you mentioned 5 that were in their first year of eligibility. How does the district provide what I call extra emphasis to them to get their goals and achievable? Because it just seems like we're not making progress. The we is a collective we, not we the county, but it's a response that we need to be able to give to our constituents.
Fantastic question. Part of this work, and when you look at how LEAs qualify, one of the areas, for example, after the pandemic was around chronic absenteeism. And so the chronic absenteeism indicator was a really overwhelming, the change that happened. So in many ways, what it has done is raised systemic. It's not about individual districts, but it leads to systemic changes and systemic collective action as a state around some of these areas that we haven't fully solved yet. But it's not about just individual districts. Also, we have identified some of the students that have historically not been served as well by our system. And that's why we started the Inclusion Network, because in our highest peak year, the reason that so many of our LEAs, not just in our county, but in our region and statewide, was because students with disabilities are not benefiting from the system in the same way so many of our other students are. And so this work is not just about the systems that happen at the districts, but the work that we are doing collectively. Also, because it's based on a dashboard that has 14 student groups and, 12 indicators, or, it changes depending on the size, many of our LEAs will, especially our small LEAs, their swings in their colors happen significantly because of the small N size. And so that's part of the reason that our state is looking to revise it, because it's over identifying what feels problematic. And at the same time, because folks change over so often and we're constantly getting new teachers and new administrators, that these structures of support that we do, like consultants, really help to strengthen, especially in our small as well as in our large districts. And so it's a great question, but it shouldn't be interpreted as our schools are failing. Quite the opposite. They are engaged in continuous improvement. And every time they improve in an area, then they can shift their attention to yet a new area and a new challenge, because we keep getting new challenges.
Helen, thank you very much.
So it sounds like, we're just seeing this big number, but there could be 3 things that they need to focus on, and now only 2, maybe 1, then back to 3. So it doesn't really show us how many different areas or.
That's right. The qualification is based on the dashboard, and the dashboard indicators, that are blue to red, are organized into 4 priorities. So academic, engagement, et cetera. And in order to qualify, you have to have a student group that meets the red criteria in 2 or more priorities, so there's a little Rubik's Cube going on to all of it as well. And you're absolutely right. It changes from year to year. So in a small school district, a one suspension can actually change a district from green to red, and then they qualify. But the support isn't at the symptom level, it's at the systems level. So they get to choose one area of their system after looking at data that they really want to do continuous improvement on. So it's one of those things they have to do, but we turn it into what they want and need to do. So great question for that clarity.
Just one clarification. I think as board members, we're constantly being sort of pummeled
Yeah.
with state testing results, especially for our trustee areas. And, I think it underlies that the answer is that these standardized tests are inadequate and they do not tell a whole story. So then we're sometimes asked, well, fill us in.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering about the interplay between test scores and the dashboard. And then I'm also looking from my own lens in Carpinteria, where we've got pretty deplorable scores in reading and math, in high school. And yet our kids are getting accepted to four-year universities and they're being awarded scholarships and they're thriving. So again,
Yeah,
let's see of that number.
that's right. Our team is reading this book right now by C.T. Nguyen called The Score. And it's about value capture and about how the portability of large data is what its strength is, because everyone can understand red to blue, but it doesn't tell the whole story. And often what happens is that we let those things that don't tell the whole story become the proxy for the whole story. So thank you for framing it that way, because that's part of the work that all of our districts are doing in trying to describe what student success looks like. And test scores, or the state test scores, are just one of those areas. There's also graduation rate, college and career readiness indicator, EL progress, suspension, graduation. I said graduation, there's multiple indicators. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much for reading the report.
Thank you for creating it. Alrighty. So now we're going to move on to the LCAP local indicators report. The report on the SBCEO progress on local indicators through the California School Dashboard, and is submitted to the board as an information item per the requirements and standards of local indicators approved by the State Board of Education. And our Director of Student and Community Services, Elise Simmons, will provide the presentation for the board on the report.
Good morning. Good morning, board. Good morning, Dr. Salcido. Perfect timing. All your questions you're asking Ellen about indicators is tied to what I'm going to share a little bit with you today. And I'm going to go through this quickly because the role of this presentation is information only. You did receive the self-reflection. This information is going to then be entered onto our dashboard before, I think it's July 15th. So we'll be good with that. But the presentation I'm going to give to you is just an overview of the local indicators. And you heard Ellen mention that word a couple of times. She also mentioned the colors and the dashboard. So just some framing real quick. We have our LCAP, and in the LCAP, which I think helps provide that whole picture when people are focused on the test scores, and you hear us express this with our JCCS programs especially, is that the test score and the dashboard isn't the whole picture, and that we're able to then bring in that qualitative information, that survey data. And I am going to share with you some of our self-reported, which are these local indicators that we keep talking about. So in our LCAP, we have goals, actions, metrics. The goals must align to the 10 state priorities. So COEs have 10, LEAs that are not a COE have 8 state priorities. So we have 10 state priorities. I'll share them with you in a moment. And then the metrics that we have in our LCAP must come from our dashboard, and they also come from other places. So here is a table. I'm not going to go talk about each thing, but it gives you an overview of those 10 state priorities. The red ones on the bottom are for COEs only. And that's where, again, you'll see those, both of those for us. We have goal 3 for SBCO, which is the foster youth focus led by Amy Willis, our director for TYS. And then the coordination for services for expelled students, we talk about in our goal 4, and that is associated with a lot of the work that I do with districts around our triennial expelled youth plan, which will be coming this time next year, FYI. So those are the priorities. And then you can see the state indicators. These are all going to, you just heard Ellen talk about them. Those are the ones that are on our dashboard. They're collected there. They have to be there. They're on every district's dashboard, school's dashboard. And then the local indicators are also on our dashboard. But this is where we can bring in additional information and our own self-reflection. And that's what you'll see in that report is our self-reflection on those local indicator areas. So just a reminder, I've said this a little bit, these are self-reported measures. They are integrated into our dashboard, and there's a focus on what we're doing locally in terms of our performance, and then areas of improvement and areas for growth. This is the timeline, but it's also the local indicator requirements. So we are required to measure progress and report that on our reflection tool. We then present it to our county board before July 1, and then we're going to report it on our dashboard July 31st. Sorry, I gave myself 2 more weeks there. There we go. And by just doing that, we have met the standard. So it's not necessarily about what we're writing in our reflection. That is very important. We spend time with our teams doing that, but it's really about this presentation, doing the work, presenting it, and then posting it on our dashboard that makes us met the standard. And just, I thought I'd pull off a quick screenshot of what does it look like on the dashboard. So if you were to go to any dashboard, you are going to see a whole bunch of different colors and those gauges around the state ones. And then there's this thing called local indicators. And then you can click on it and it'll give you more information. I'll tell you about rubric, and then it actually will have the information that you see in that report will be on our dashboard. Bridget Boblitz is the one that will enter it into our dashboard. What you'll see there now is what you saw last year. So we're always a year behind. And that's it. There you go.
Thank you.
If you have any questions or anything, I'm here to answer them. Also, I think Renee might be up north if there's specific questions about what's in the self-reflection related to JCCS.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Perfect. Now we're going to move on to action items. So our first action item, number 10, is the recommended adoption of the Santa Barbara County Education Office 2026-2027 Local Control and Accountability Plan. And the superintendent recommends the adoption of the Santa Barbara County Education Office 2026-27 Local Control and Accountability Plan. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any opposed? Abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the vote passes unanimously. We have our action item number 11, the recommended adoption of 2026-2027 County School Service Fund budget. The Board Budget Committee recommends the adoption of the 2026-2027 County School Service Fund budget. The County Superintendent of Schools certifies that the budget has been reviewed utilizing the state adopted criteria and standards. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay.
I second.
Perfect. Any opposed? Okay, any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. And we move on to action item number 12, the approval of membership renewal for the Association of California County School Board of Education. And the board will consider whether to approve the renewal of membership to the Association of California County School Boards of Education for 2026 and 2027. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
I will second.
Okay, any opposed? Abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect.
Did you aye?
Did you aye? Did everyone aye? We ayed. Okay, aye.
I
Okay.
think Judy has a question.
No,
on
Did you have a
Yeah,
question?
I have, when did we establish our relationship with this organization? It seems to me it wasn't a year ago that we came in mid-year or something.
That's correct. We had Yvonne Chan from Los Angeles County Board of Education give a very spirited presentation on
Yes.
ACCBE. And it was, I think, around December. And at that time, she said they would provide us with the cost of a half of a year. So it was half a year. The board then received this membership renewal question in the last month or so, which is why it's now on your agenda for a year, meaning the next July 1 to the fiscal year, I should say.
Yeah, I was thinking that we really hadn't had a long period of time to utilize any of the resources. And I hope that in the next 12 months, we're able to do that.
It'd be a good
So-
time to assess what the efficacy and the quality and the, all of that in the next year.
Yeah, because I don't think the last 5 months, 6 months is adequate. So I eye it for a year.
Okay, all right. Great, thank you. Remembered Frost. Okay, so and we'll try to incorporate some of the services and resources that ACCB has for us so that we can fully utilize our membership in the year moving forward.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for bringing that discussion, that question up. So moving on to the discussion item for the board retreat. We had originally had our board retreat scheduled for next month, and we had decided to reschedule that so that we could use that time for inter-district transfer hearings. And so now we're going to look at alternative dates. And if I can just add to this, so we have some ideas here for a board retreat dates for the rest of this year. We also are in an election year. And so one of the ideas as well is to wait until after the election and then to have a retreat in 2027. So I just wanted to put that out there as we start the discussion. And yeah.
I regret to inform you, I will not be here for the board meeting August 13th.
Okay.
I'm out of the country.
Okay. Thank you.
As one of the 3 members of the board that's up for election this year, I really would like to wait until after the election. I would hate to have all of that effort and energy put into my education and training and development and then have me not be able to be on the board. I have every intention of continuing, but
As do we.
it's up to the voters. So I would just strongly suggest that we do wait until after the election.
My sentiments exactly.
Okay.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay. All righty. Well,
we do have this paper in front of us to mark.
Right.
Also, if you
So,
are
It's really a
decide
ma-
on, are
it's
we
really a ma-
voting?
It's really a matter of discussion. It was just
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
to get the sense, yes.
yeah, it's nice to see it on paper too, and
Mhm.
really look at our
Yes.
calendars.
perfect.
I would, for a variety of reasons, I would echo what Judy said in terms of the retreat. But I also would like to advocate that we consider doing either the September or December trip for as many as can go as a team opportunity. Perhaps in lieu of the retreat. Um, and I don't know, this is discussion, so we're not trying to decide today, but I just think that might be a good opportunity for us as a team to come together and reconnect.
I agree. Alrighty. Well, any thoughts on us attending the conference, or are there any conference dates for any of our board members that are their schedule's more available for one than the other? What are our thoughts on that?
My schedule is better in December than it is September.
Yeah.
For my
Mm-hmm.
programming and my.
Mhm.
So is mine.
participation.
I'm out of town on that September date.
Okay. Okay.
I would, after, after that, I really would like to focus on the CSBA Counties Conference. And, I've attended one of the CSBA's integrated conferences before. It was also in San Diego. And, while it was informative and networking and all that kind of stuff, there was some of it that just wasn't relevant to counties, and it isn't identified, it's just presented in general. And so you kind of have to go, does that apply to us? No, not listening.
That's true.
So I intend to go September 25th through the 27th regardless. And that's all right. Just for my own personal.
Yeah. And that brings up a good point, because if we all can't go to one of them, maybe some of us can go to one and some of us can go to another, with the idea
Right.
of us all
That's
trying
good.
to at least go to one.
Yeah, and if a board member has not gone to any CSBA conferences, I would definitely, and they can't make the one in September, I would definitely recommend they go in December. I think going to one, even if it's the general universal one, is a good ground floor building base to go from. So I don't think that would be a lost opportunity.
Yeah.
If I may suggest, one thing we could do easily offline is just a quick poll, in terms of availability, so we can bring it back if we'd like to. The other, I think I heard what Guy was saying in terms of the camaraderie and the team building that would happen if members attended. And also there's the other point too, which isn't lost on any of us, which is the learning opportunities by going to one or the other. So I think we can try to lean toward, we'll see what we get for A and B. I also wanted to say that ACCBE last year, what the board just approved, last year had a regional, I'll say Southern California, Central California,
Right.
county training or workshop in the spring. So just wanted to put that on the radar, that that's something else that could come around in the springtime of 2027. But nonetheless, if it makes it simpler for now, we can always poll just both of these dates and see who might be available, so that it could expedite conversations in the future.
In terms of the content of the conference in September,
Yes.
would it be possible to come in on the 26th? I don't know what happens on that Friday.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes,
That
you-
might be a possibility.
it is a possibility, absolutely.
Because that would be possible for me as well.
That might work for me.
Okay. Okay, great.
Actually, that was what I was considering, was just going down very early Saturday morning to get a full day Saturday night, and then whatever.
You could carpool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could.
I'm
that
open
could
to that.
work. Yeah, I think I'm open to that as well.
Well, would there be objections if anybody went to both, or is it just picking one? Or because I was wondering, Judy, too, is that would there be a possibility of you going to both if everybody could go in December? Not saying we have to
Oh,
do that.
yeah, it's not, I'm not going to completely preclude it. It's just, it's
Yeah.
very interesting. You and Vita mentioned September well, December is a disaster for me. It's just, oh my God, yeah, that's.
No, I hear you.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can
but,
ask
you know,
for,
anything's possible.
Okay, well, so to be continued, but it seems like we have a path forward. One other thing just to think about as well, when you mentioned Superintendent Salcido regarding the ACCBE conference in spring, it's possible that maybe we can try to, once we have more details, time that around a future retreat. So that's something to think about. We might be able to couple those.
sounds good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Perfect. So now we're going to go to the added agenda item, the grand jury responses, and I'll hand it over to Superintendent Salcido.
Thank you so much. So the added item on the grand jury responses. So as the board has received a copy of the two grand jury reports that we have received, as well as school districts. One is on bullying and one is on school safety and shooting. And both of those reports from the grand jury do require responses by the County Board of Education. I will say they also require a response by the County Superintendent of Schools and the Santa Barbara County Education Office. But for this discussion, I'd like to point to the county board's response. And of course, we want the board to be engaged in that response. And so an idea, the issue is timing of that response and county board meetings. I would personally prefer having access to having the board either appoint President Ehrman to be a point of contact to represent the voice of the county board so that I could work through the responses together with Nadra, or have the county board recommend an ad hoc committee for me to work with. I really need to I would prefer to expedite this back and forth than work only with July's meeting and then August's meeting. So an ad hoc committee works by having the board appoint 3 members. This is part of the board's policy that you may have an ad hoc committee of 3 members, and then we can work off together on that response. In this case, I've drafted a response for the board's consideration. I've spoken to Nadra just right before the board meeting. Nadra would be happy to be the board's representative, but I wanted to make sure that we put it on the agenda, that we're all understanding what I'm asking and seeking, and then provide the opportunity for the board to have a discussion on how you'd like to handle the board's response.
This is Judy. I really appreciate your thoughtfulness in thinking through this process, because the outcome will be highly dependent on the process. And I fully support Nadra being our collector of information and working with you on both responses from county boards on bullying and the shooting.
Okay.
I agree with that too. I think Nadra does such a good job with explaining things. I think I trust you to give us good information and ask for our input, and that feels reasonable and efficient and effective to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. So thank you. Well, then we'll work together, and what we'll do is work together, and then we might finalize that response. But of course, we'll always keep the full board included in the response, so that would that whatever we send back to the grand jury, you will have a copy as well. Okay. Thank you.
And just one point of clarification on that, Susan, please. On both of these items, the county board, our response, this is the question, colon, is it specifically directed to those programs that the county runs? Okay,
Good point.
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yes,
So-
I'll insert right there. That's exactly right. It took a while to read. It didn't take a long time to read through the report, but it took a while
Right.
to process how to respond best, both as a county superintendent and as a county board.
Right.
And what just what you said, when it came down to it, given that the grand jury has requested responses from all of the other LEAs, all of the other LEAs have that opportunity to respond from their context and perspective. And I believe that it is the right thing to do to have the county board respond on the county-operated juvenile court and community schools.
Yep.
So we can be very specific about what we do and don't do based on those recommendations. So that's the long way to say, yes, it'll be on the county board's juvenile court and community schools.
What about early childhood education where we have preschool, or you know what I mean, classes as opposed to individual?
Right.
Because bullying can happen actually sometimes it starts at very young ages.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really great question. And it also goes on to, the supports that the county provides and mental wellness and lots of wraparounds. And I think the cleanest way was to really think about our schools that we're operating, that the
Okay.
county board has jurisdiction over, which are the juvenile court and community schools. So our responses aren't exclusive of what schools do, but I do think that we really do need to think about those county operated juvenile court and community schools.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that as well.
And just to close the loop, we'll work in tandem, but before we finalize the response and send it, we'll have it available to the board to read in case there's any revisions or questions before it's sent out to the grand jury.
Yeah. What I'm hoping to do, and I'll be really transparent on this piece. So the county superintendent has 60 days to respond, so about 2 months. The county board has 90 days, so 3 months. So we've got time. Having said that, all the school districts have received requests for responses, and I feel it would be very helpful for districts to see a draft of my response as county superintendent and see a draft as the county board as well, so that they can, many have already had experiences with grand jury responses, but some have not. And I think it's always nice to see an example. So I think before I send anything out to a district, even as a draft of the board, I really want to work with Nadra so that you endorse that this is a good, healthy draft that we could send out, though I don't want it to be necessarily a public draft yet. Obviously, it's not, it's not public until it's actually provided. So that is part of the intermediary desire. And then we can always bring it on July 9th for the board to see.
Susan, is that the same for local districts? That there's a separate superintendent response and a separate board response?
It is not. For the districts, it's only one response for each of the districts.
Do you know what their thinking is in terms of why are they requiring two separate responses from the county superintendent and the county board of education?
It's a really good question. I don't. I thought it best to go ahead and respond from our different points of view.
Sure.
And in one report, the grand jury requested I respond to 2 questions,
I saw that.
whereas the county board has about 20 questions. So
Yeah.
it you know,
Exactly.
I take it
You're
as a
not
great
just-
opportunity to
There you go.
inform our public around what we do in these areas. It's a great opportunity to share what the jurisdiction of the county board is, what the county superintendent does. I'm taking it as an opportunity to respond, not in a full journal, but in a succinct way to say, here's what we do, here's our jurisdiction, and here's our responses to, and also educate and inform the public about our role. So that's a guy I'm not exactly sure, but we're going to take it as an opportunity.
So you're just going to send them a book of everything then?
We could.
That's what you do. It's a book. I can't let this moment pass without a very off the subject kind of response. And that has to do, I'm taking another jab at the state authorities for what they've done to the JCCS schools. It's incredibly, I think ironic is the word of what our response would be to shootings when we have 20-year-old murderers in our JCCS system that we're supposed to be working with. So if they don't have a high school diploma. So I have to make that jab one more time.
Right.
So jabbed.
So great. So
That's a second. Yeah.
so we'll move on.
Lordy.
Closed session. Perfect time for closed session.
Yes, so we'll be shifting Zoom links. So we'll be off the public link and then on to another. So we'll take a few minutes to set up. Yes, thank you, everybody.